Hello and welcome. Thank you for listening. My name is Sarah Baumert. I'm a yoga teacher, Feldenkrais practitioner, and host of the Sarah B. Yoga podcast. The Sarah B. Yoga podcast and my practice, Body Matter, is an interdisciplinary learning space where we explore the many ways that movement can help facilitate body acceptance and awareness, reduce pain and stress, regulate the nervous system, and build strength and ease. My teaching plays with the synthesis of Feldenkrais awareness through movement lessons, traditional yoga asana, creative imagery, breathing exercises, self-massage, and a compassionate mindset to help you feel a greater sense of ease and comfort in yourself. Sarah B. Yoga and Body Matter have a lot of other program offerings. These podcasts are just a taste of my teaching. Each week I teach a range of online classes, including a gentle yoga class, a level 2 class for more advanced students, and Feldenkrais classes with monthly themes, anatomy lessons, and Q&A sessions for more in-depth study. I have 2 new online series offerings for the fall. A Feldenkrais series titled Coming to Your Senses, an exploration of the spaces of the eyes, the mouth, jaw, ears, vocal and breathing apparatus. And my second course, Wakeful Body, the blending of yoga and Feldenkrais on Monday nights. As one student recently described Monday nights, that felt like I just gave myself a massage. So these fall classes will be a continuation of some fan favorite stretching sequences that incorporate bolsters and other props to enhance the poses. There is still plenty of time to join these courses live or via the course recordings. You can find more information about these offerings in the show notes. Okay, on to today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Hello and welcome to the Sarah B. Yoga podcast. This podcast is an intersection of my yoga teaching and my training in the Feldenkrais method. Today's class is a short breath awareness meditation done in savasana. You will need something heavy that will be placed on your abdomen. If you have a yoga sandbag, this works really well, but most people don't have that. So I suggest finding 1 or 2 very thick books. A thick textbook could work well. And if you're using a book, then you will also want to have a blanket or a towel that you can place underneath the book so that the weight is not too hard or pressing into any part of you in an uncomfortable way. Now, not everyone loves the feeling of having this weight on them, but for many people, it provides just enough feedback that it helps to calm and ground them. So please do what feels best for you when we get to that portion of the class. You also may want an eye pillow or a small towel or a t-shirt, something you can just drape over your eyes. Okay, so when you're ready, come to lie on the ground if you're not already there. And just rest with the floor for a moment. Get yourself comfortable. Have your blanket, your weight nearby. And make sure that your temperature is comfortable. And as you settle, listen to your breath as it comes and goes. Do not breathe in any way that you've been taught or in some way that you think you should breathe. Simply be in the state of listening to the air as it draws in through the nostrils. You might feel the air brushing across the upper lip. And that air passes over the top of the mouth, the upper palate, back towards the throat. And you're following this movement of the breath as it comes in And you have the sense that your diaphragm changes positions. It might shift and change the way you sense your ribs. There's nothing you need to do to make this happen. Listening to this change of the shape of your internal space, your internal torso as you inhale and as you exhale. And you can feel how the breath organizes itself. And as you listen, notice, where do you feel the movement of the breath? What parts of you are you aware have movement? We can sense the breath movement in many different directions. So first, notice in the forward direction. Notice if the belly and the chest have movement forward towards the ceiling. And do you sense any movement backward towards the floor? Do you feel that the pressure of your upper back or your ribs change? Is there any moment where you're feeling an expansion backward towards the floor? And then what about in the sideways direction? Noticing the movement of your ribs. Do you sense any part of your torso getting a little bit wider when you inhale and a little bit more narrow as you exhale? And again, this is not to fabricate or to force those movements, but to listen for them. Even imagine them if you're not feeling them. And then we can also sense a movement upward and downward, all the way to the top and the bottom of our breathing space. So the top of the breathing space is at the base of the throat, where your collarbones are. You can sense, is there any movement happening there? And in the very bottom of the breathing space, in the deep bowl of the pelvis, do you feel any pressure change in the area of the pelvic floor, the lower belly? The feeling to look for is a slight swelling as you breathe in, and then a retreat from that as you breathe out. You might even feel a widening of the breath in the hip joints. And now when you're ready, find your weight. You can put a towel or that blanket over your abdomen and your pelvis. And take that weight and place it over your belly, on the soft part of the belly, not the lower ribs, so there's not weight on the bony part of your ribs. And we'll take several rounds of breath here. Listening to how your breath changes now that you have the pressure of the weight. Notice the contact of the weight. It's on your belly. And as you inhale, breathe downward towards the weight, as if you could expand towards the weight. And then let that weight help you exhale. So that your exhale is very passive and you feel that the weight aids in the gentle sinking of the abdomen backward. And you're breathing at your own pace, at your own rhythm, sensing the inhale spilling in, and just let the exhale happen. so that the exhale is more of a resting phase. It's somewhat automatic, and you just let it happen. When we inhale, we use the diaphragm muscle, and the diaphragm spreads like a skirt. It moves down, and it pushes towards your pelvis. All the organs get smushed. And from that movement, they press out a little bit. So you can feel that as you inhale, a little bit of a pressure towards the weight. And then as you exhale, the diaphragm contracts and it draws towards your head. It domes a little bit towards your head. And the organs are then able to sink and rest back towards the back of you. So we'll breathe here for another few minutes, feeling the expansiveness of the breath, not forcing anything, but inviting more movement to go downward towards your belly, towards your pelvis, even though you have a weight on your belly. And with this emphasis on the inhalation, please don't force your breath in any way that feels uncomfortable. So if you notice any muscular tension as you inhale, then just relax it a little bit more. So we're not imposing any discomfort on the body. And you're listening for this very expansive quality of the breath. Imagine the way that water moves through sand. It finds its way through sand. Can you imagine that you're breathing the way that water moves through sand? Feeling the fluid movement of your breath as it saturates your tissues. It moves through the torso like water flowing through sand. And enjoying the weight of the exhale, the sinking, releasing of the exhale as the exhales come. Letting the weight on your belly assist the exhale, the whoosh outward. And sensing the internal space that is you. The breath expands the space of what you are. And drawing in, receiving as you inhale. Letting the qualities of comfort, of ease, protection, expand inside of your body, these energetic and imaginative potentials. And before we remove the weight, let's prepare ourselves to shift. First, imagine what will happen when you move your weight. Imagine it in your mind's eye before it happens. How will the body receive the space and the lightness once the weight is off of you? So just imagine it. And now whatever you have on your belly, a stack of books, a sandbag, maybe a cat. This transition is to be taken with much care. So with great consideration, slowly lift the weight, shift and move the weight off of your body to the floor, and then notice the space that's there. And feel what it's like to breathe without that weight. Feel what it's like to be in the memory of that weight. And the newfound freedom as your breath expands towards the memory of the weight. Noticing the space where the weight once was, registering that sensation in your body, and feeling that the weight is no longer there. But can you feel that because the weight was there, something is different? Listen to the internal shifting, the natural happenings of your breath. The physical letting go of the exhale. And when you're ready, let your knees bend. Bring your feet to standing to the floor. Sway your knees a few inches right and left. And then as you're ready, roll to your side. And pause here on your side. Taking as much time as you need to transition into whatever your body needs, into whatever the next thing is for your day or your evening. And as you do that, being very gentle with yourself, finding your own internal elegance, the internal elegance of your breath, and bringing it to life. Are you enjoying this podcast? I've chosen to offer these audio recordings freely for over 15 years. I do this because research shows yoga, yoga nidra, and Feldenkrais to be valuable practices, those which I would like to share widely. Dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity, has always been a pillar of my business. And more generally, Dana is the inclination to give without expecting any form of repayment. It does, however, take a fair amount of time, effort, and cost to maintain and keep the podcasts available. If you feel you've benefited from what you've learned from these classes, then please do consider making a contribution towards the maintenance and upkeep of the classes. It will help ensure that I can continue to offer the podcast classes freely and keep generating new material. Give what you can, give what feels good. If it's too little, it won't feel good. If it's too much, it won't feel good. Links to support the show monetarily can be found in the show notes. And other ways to give include sharing the podcast with others, leaving a 5-star rating and review, or just sending me an email with how the classes have affected you. Thanks so much.